Before I start the show, the gathering for Jeff Keenan is April 12th this year at Mount Seymour. Hard to believe it's been a year since we lost such a huge part of our community. Lots of love to his family and close friends. Hope to see you all there. The FNRad Snowboard Podcast is presented by Flojoy Water. Burton Snowboards offers the best boards, boots, bindings, outerwear, gloves, first layer, helmets, goggles, and more. Burton products work because they're designed and tested by snowboarders who ride. If you live in Vancouver, check out the new Burton flagship store on 4th Avenue at Burrard. Hey listeners, this one's for you. Upline Brewing is beer for snowboarders by longtime Pacific Northwest shredder and FNRad listener Carl Montoya, who started Upline so you can crack a cold one anytime. No buzz, no slowdown, just good vibes. Unlike most NA beers, these actually taste legit and they're brewed with adaptogens for a mellow uplift. The Steezy Golden Lager and Crushin' IPA come in at just 25 and 50 calories and feature artwork from local legends like Quincy Quigg. Have one at lunch, grab another lap, hit the after party, and still wake up for first chair or the bank slalom podium. Drinking regular beers, toss some Uplines into the lineup. The natural electrolytes help you stay hydrated and keep crushing. FNRad listeners score 15% off at uplinebrewing.com with code FNRAD, or set up a subscription, save more, and never run out. Upline Brewing, brewed to adapt, crafted to elevate. Fix Bindings are celebrating 10 years of Fix, and I've been using my Block 5s and Block 7s all year long and have had exactly 0 issues. No wonder Fix offers a lifetime warranty. From catboarding at Valhalla to yesterday's icy groomers, my Fix Bindings have been easy to get into and out of and 100% dependable the whole year. Get yourself a pair of Fix Bindings at a dealer near you or check out fixbindingco.com. Bluebird Coffee Tuning and Rentals in Squamish, BC is the coolest new stop just 20 seconds off the Sea to Sky Highway on your way to Whistler. Drop in for the world's best cup of coffee, killer smoothies, and a true local vibe born out of 90s snowboard culture and music. They offer performance ski and snowboard tunes with state-of-the-art equipment. They've got premium rental fleets of Jones, Solomon, Libtech, and Burton, including Burton Step-Ons. And if you haven't gotten yourself one yet, Bluebird will even sell you a rad power bike. These bikes are so fun. For a blend of expert knowledge, convenience, and a lot of charm, stop in and say hi to Bluebird, the raddest mandatory new stop on your way to Whistler. Lock in and let go with Anon's magnetic face mask integration, built to keep you seamlessly covered from the elements, and Magnatech quick lens change technology that makes swapping lenses effortless even with gloves or mitts on. Enhance contrast and clarity with perceived lenses and get the most accurate perception of the surrounding environment regardless of light and weather conditions. Clarity starts where distraction ends. Full face coverage, complete presence. Check out Anon's helmets, goggles, and MFI face masks at an Anon dealer near you or at AnonOptics.com. Support also comes from the Pro Standard. Ken Achenbach has done it again with the push-button quick release for step-on bindings. Get them at ProStandard.com before they sell out. Pacific Border, Vancouver's premium snow skate and surf shop on West 4th Avenue. Check out PacificBorder.com. And 1910, the collaborative artworks of Jamie Lynn and Scof, two friends on a creative journey together, bonded by their love of art, music, and snowboarding. Go to the number 9teen10.com for their latest collection. We need to thank our friends at Mount Seymour, Grouse Mountain, and Cypress Mountain for their continued support of FNRad, as well as Essential Toothpaste tabs. I love them. I use them. Go buy them today. Carter Westfall is the CEO of Natural Selection and a New Jersey native who worked in finance in New York City after graduating from Princeton. His journey into the heart of the snowboarding community is a cool one. Please enjoy this interview with Carter Westfall.
You talk to the pros, they're like, oh, I see a glimmer of blue sky in the forecast here, and they're jumping in their vehicles and driving 10 hours to get there to film. And then I think in a similar way, you have like folks in BC who are like, I see good conditions here. I'm going to drive through. They might pivot and go to another spot. And
there's a lot of spots.
It's dedicated. It's a dedicated community. Of
it's the most hardcore. It's the most hardcore lineups I've ever seen anywhere. Like Jackson Hole, very similar. Like just the people that live there, like
for sure,
they're dropping everything when it's a good day,
right?
And they know the lineup to be in.
It's just kind of next level here.
It's next level. And you know what? You know what it was this year is. It's been a weird year. Like it hasn't been like just hammered with snow,
of course,
system after system lining up. So, I mean, the snow yesterday was the best. That was probably the best run I've ever had in my life. And I find myself saying that, like if I'm heli or I'm catboarding or whatever. But I really mean it. I think it was.
You earned it.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been out there, but I was chasing money, which might be a good segue to. So me and what do I do?
Yeah. So you're the CEO of Natural Selection Tour, which is now, is there a bigger name for it now that there's multiple sports in it?
That's a great question. The way I look at it is Natural Selection is kind of the hero brand. Technically, we are the Natural Selection Tour Inc. That's how we are incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
And I can kind of go into a little bit of the history of how I got involved, but I mean, we set out to create the Natural Selection Tour, the competition components, right, in snowboarding, right, to build out this multi-stop tour within freeride snowboarding, but kind of quickly realized we're building something bigger, and the way I look at it is Natural Selection Tour is the elite competition vertical within the broader natural selection ecosystem. Because we think with the community and brand that we're building, there's a lot of opportunities to build a diversified business and a very impactful global brand.
I was really happy to hear Natural Selection get shouted out on Pinch My Salt.
Did you see the Natural Selection Surf Contest?
Explain that to me.
I think it's kind of what I've been talking about.
Natural Selection Surf Contest.
So they took like top best male servers and top best women servers to this gnarly wave in Micronesia. And they're basically, I guess Snowboard has been doing it. It's called Natural Selection, and Travis Rice started it.
Yeah.
You know who he is?
No.
The snowboarder.
Travis Smith? Okay, keep going. Natural Selection, so it's like something to do with evolution and
We
stuff.
should have had you watch it before.
No, because I'll be the audience.
You're really botching this. The surf contest, it's just an hour long.
Oh.
There's no jostling for waves.
Dude.
Whoever surfs the best for that hour wins.
And they're all out there together.
Not all of them. It still heats. So basically, they're trying to start like a new revolution in surf contests.
I'm laughing because I don't know anything and I'm on a surf podcast.
So in normal contests, it's like 20-minute heat, best two waves. You're fighting for the waves to win.
Got it.
And everything's edited. It's not shown live. It's edited, so you don't have to wait.
So it's actually fun to watch.
Yeah.
Dude, that's genius.
And the cameras they're using is nicer.
Yeah.
And they have these crazy drones. When they're surfing, it's like,
Dude.
with the guy. It's kind of like insane.
So it's basically what we've all been wanting, and it's not boring.
It's like the least boring contest you've seen in a while.
Heck yeah, dude.
I want to surf one. Put me in, dude.
Come
Well, a couple of guys, I'm like, what?
Really?
Get me in this.
Let's do it.
Send me and Kelly to Costa Rica.
Dude.
I think the next one should be in Costa Rica. All the yoga chicks will be around. And
Yeah.
we're freaking shredding like witches rock. Are you kidding me?
So how do we get you in? Do we send in an email or something?
Dude, put me in.
You've got the wide audience, but you've got the heart of the community. That's what you're kind of putting on display. It's dope.
Yeah, and I mean, we're building this thing from scratch. I mean, this came, obviously Travis had executed some beta events going back to 2008 at Jackson Hole with the original Natural Selection.
I remember they were
Quicksilver.
rad. Yeah.
Or Quicksilver Natural Selection, and then Supernatural and Ultra Natural Baldface. But the reality is, like, yeah, we're kind of starting from a blank slate, and there's some benefits there, right? In terms of being able to experiment with different things, or you're bringing in the right people from, whether it's from surf or ski or mountain bike, which is something that we've been very conscious of doing as we've expanded into other sports. And I think, we're not trying to build a governing body in any of these sports and anything. So we can kind of be flexible, and we always, the overused phrase is build the airplane while flying it in our is what we've been doing.
You're a small team. When you went to 4 sports, you didn't quadruple the team.
No, yeah. I mean, the reality is most people are, it's been a labor of love for a lot of people working primarily as contractors. I mean, we're at a point right now where we're 6 full-time employees, which is insane because, that's not a lot of people.
No.
The core team is bigger than that, right? I mean, but I think it's just how it's needed to work. Like, we haven't been able to fully hire people for what they're worth. But I think it's a win-win in terms of people having flexibility to do other work while kind of working with us on a seasonal nature. I mean, everyone wants stability though, right? So, the longer it goes on or the longer you're pushing people, it becomes tough to retain people, and people take other jobs or, things like the Snow League where, we love those guys and they've been better capitalized than we are. So they've been able to staff up, and there are people that we've lost, and it's all good. Like, we're all trying to make a living here.
Yeah. From a spectator's standpoint, because I'm just a fan of snowboarding and I don't watch any competitive snowboarding. I'll see a couple of highlights of like Instagram clips of like Olympic stuff. Never been done's kind of get into my feed.
Right.
But I'll sit and watch 8 hours of natural selection. And we'll be texting with my friends, and people are like watching it in real time. It has the heart of the community. I think that is it's kind of built into the DNA of it, like the nature of, because the Freeride World Tour was sort of doing the same thing.
For sure.
And I'm not dissing on them, but like watching it, I just felt like the commentary stuff and the line selections, I don't know, it just didn't feel like NST.
It's a different product at the end of the day. And Travis is close with Nicholas Hale Woods, and I even had some conversations with Nicholas years ago, probably 15 years ago, because I loved what they were doing. And I was working as a consultant in the Olympic world at the time, and being a passionate, I grew up skiing and then kind of converted to snowboarding in my early 20s. But I kind of was always hoping there was a way I could kind of get in the mix somehow. I didn't know how. But.
What era of snowboarding was that?
So
not to date you, but
no, all good. I mean, just turned 52. I grew up in New Jersey. My father, who grew up in Southern Virginia, did not grow up skiing, and didn't really grow up with much of anything. My mother's from Atlanta, so I wasn't like predisposed to like grow up to be a skier. But my father really wanted to expose us to skiing. He saw it as a great vehicle to kind of see the world, et cetera. So I kind of thank him. I mean, we would ski in New Jersey, and then we would road trip up to Vermont, Stratton and Bromley. And then eventually when I got a little bit older, we started going on trips out west to Park City and Vail.
Oh,
and
damn.
Then, and I can vividly remember, driving back to the airport when we were leaving those places. In the back of my head was like, man, like, I really wish I wasn't leaving, or just like, I was trying to visualize, could I live in places like this? Because it's something felt very unique and special, as we were flying back to New Jersey, which I had a very, great childhood. Loved growing up in New Jersey.
There's a lot of like super legends from New Jersey. Dmitry Milovich was there, Chuck Barfoot, Tom Sims.
Dude, now we get Miles Fallon.
Miles is from there. Unbelievable. Yeah, that kid's energy is incredible.
Captured the hearts of everyone.
Yeah.
On day one.
Oh, he's so fun. He's just like, he's like a little ball of energy.
Yeah.
And positivity and just like rad.
Right.
Yeah. And he's a Jersey guy too.
Yeah.
Is New Jersey like, does it have a big surf community or something?
For sure. I mean, the Jersey Shore. I mean, I didn't grow up surfing. Yeah. I mean, I think there's, and people give the Garden State a hard time,
They
but
do, right.
there's access to the outdoors there for sure.
Rad.
You don't have to go that far. And I think when I look at myself growing up, an interesting anecdote is there was a kind of a magazine store downtown, Garden State News, and I can remember going down there and flipping through like the surf magazines. Even though I wasn't a surfer,
Yeah.
I was kind of like this pasty white, overweight kid, but there was something about it that you're just entranced by the beautiful people, the beautiful waves. Like it looked fun.
We're the same age. There was an era of like Magnum PI, Hawaii 5-0,
100%, yeah.
Chips, all these like
A-team, like things like
everything was like kind of California
Miami
surfing.
Vice.
All of it was beach, right? Like a
lot of beach.
It kind of felt like I got to get out to California. I got to check this place out.
I mean, it speaks to the culture of these sports, right? And
Totally.
I think that's something that we're certainly trying to capture. But I mean, I grew up playing all different sports, played college football. Like I was a 300-pound offensive lineman. So I'm probably like the last person that should be kind of in this world, but it's been a journey.
How does that journey, like where does the beginning of you working with NST come in?
Yeah. So, I mean, in my 20s, I kind of tried a lot of different things, from working on Wall Street to move to Seattle and work for .com in like 1999, 2000, which is actually when I started snowboarding. I had some buddies out there who snowboarded. One of the guys grew up in Sun Valley. The US dollar is pretty strong. We'd road trip up to Whistler and ball out because it was like 2-to-1, Canadian dollar at the time or something.
Yeah,
so that's when I started snowboarding, and I went to graduate school at UCLA, got my MBA, and kind of knew I wanted to work in sports business, and linked up with some guys that were starting an Olympic Games consultancy out of Atlanta, and had some family in Atlanta. And it was,
what would that be? Olympic Games consulting.
So these guys were had worked during the Atlanta '96 games. They then worked for the International Olympic Committee. After the Atlanta games, the IOC basically like opened up their whole like marketing arm in Atlanta. And basically you had brands like Coca-Cola, who were the global sponsors. And I think a large majority of them were based in the US. So it made sense to have the people who were going out and cutting those deals and servicing those brand partners based in the States. So these guys parlayed it into starting a consultancy called Helios Partners, which specialized in advising brands who are looking to sponsor the Olympics.
Because there's logistics there, right? Like there's the things that you have to have in certain, logos and assets and all that stuff.
Right. And the Olympics is a traveling circus, right? I mean, and from a financial standpoint, they've got their global partners like Visa and Samsung, who kind of build out their internal teams. I mean, they've got their own Olympic kind of marketing teams.
Of course.
But then when you have the Olympic Games, for example, when I got on board in 2005, it was the lead up to the Beijing Olympics. And the organizing committee in Beijing, they're out raising $1 billion in sponsorship revenue from local brands who know nothing about the Olympics. And so the organizing committee say, hey, it's going to be $100 million to come on board, and there's big money at stake. So there's an opportunity for consultants to come in who know something about the Olympics and know how those contracts read, and have the foresight to say, hey, you know what, when we're negotiating this deal, like you're the first ones they're signing. You may want to be a part of the Olympic Torch Relay, which is going to be one of the biggest activation platforms in the lead up. And there's only going to be 3 partners actually who are part of the Olympic Torch Relay. So there's some value there when the stakes are high. And for these brands, they've got one shot to maximize their sponsorship.
So many eyes on this, and if you mess it up,
like Visa, they're doing it year over year, and they're pros, right? But if you're Air China, or you're just going to sponsor those Beijing Olympic Games. So I guess the point is there's a need for consultants. I was kind of drafting off these guys who knew a lot about the Olympics. I was kind of like faking it, while I learned. Sure. Right. So, but it was a great entry for me into the international sports business world, because I started traveling to Beijing like once every other month. We built a small office there. We had like 6 clients. So for 3 years, I was going back and forth to Beijing. And then we started picking up London 2012 clients. And I moved to London for about 1.5 years. And I was working with like Deloitte and Lloyd's TSB
Oh my
and
God.
Sainsbury's, like big brands are,
Yeah.
and long story short, I kind of leveraged that to go work for the NBA and the league headquarters in New York for 4 years. My now wife, we moved to New York. The NBA has 13 international offices all over the world. Their two biggest offices at the time were in Beijing and London. And I was able to convince them that, I knew enough, in those markets and could, be a guy based in New York that was kind of servicing those other offices, almost like my clients, helping them kind of connect with the mothership and maximize what they're doing.
That's so cool. That's unreal.
Yeah, it's fun.
So yeah, by the time, like, did you know Travis personally or something? How does
No.
that
So
whole
what happened
thing
was
happen?
I worked for the NBA and the league headquarters from 2010 to 2014. And it was, the art of flight. Look, I'm a snowboarder now, I'm just a regular snowboarder and a fan. So, I can vividly remember where I was when I saw That's It, That's All for the first time, right?
Yeah,
Sitting in
I
my brother's
bought it,
living room and
So
being
sick.
completely blown away by it. And then, of course, as like the magazines were starting to tease out what was going on with the art of flight and you'd see some of these photos come out and everything, you're like, holy cow. I went to the premiere at the Beacon Theater.
Oh, wow.
My wife, who was working for Stoked Mentoring at the time in New
love
York,
Stoked.
with Steve
Steve. Yeah.
she gave me the heads up, like, hey, you gotta come downtown because all the athletes they're doing like a poster signing at this shop down and
Rad.
So I like cut out of work early. I'm in my suit and rolled down there, waited in line and bought a killer poster, and
Come on.
Travis was the first one to sign, and
That's
he
awesome.
inscribed the middle, Carter, do something this you've never done before this year, and McMorris and Jeremy Jones, like the whole crew was there, and so they all signed my poster, and I went to the premiere blown away like everyone else, and I guess I was interested in, obviously you always want to, you're like, man, like, how do I get in this? I was kind of like, how do I get in this orbit, or how do I like plant the seeds? And I actually met Laura Bodmer, who was doing PR for that and is working with us now. And she connected me with Kurt Morgan, because I was like, I'd love to connect with Kurt because, I saw the trailer and they had like Sony cameras in there and Ford trucks and all this thing, but none of them were sponsors. So
Oh, wow.
I kind of reached out to him asking about like, hey, how'd the business model work around Art of Flight? Because I was kind of noticing all these brands, but none of them were sponsors. And I actually struck a nerve because he was like, yeah, man, we left a lot of fucking money on the table
Sure.
on that film. And we developed a bit of a loose friendship. I think he was kind of curious because I was working at the NBA. Like we were operating in different orbits, and I kind of wanted a taste of his.
Yeah.
And I think he was intrigued by like, the NBA and that sort of thing. And
Cool.
so this is like 2012, I want to say. We just started to develop a loose friendship where when he came to New York, we'd link up. I'd go out with my wife to Jackson Hole to go rip around, and we'd link up, and even had some loose conversations around like, hey, was there something I could potentially do for Brain Farm?
Cool.
From a biz dev standpoint.
Yeah.
I was seeing it as a potential catalyst to move to Jackson, but it didn't work out when it was all good. But then in the summer of 2018, Kurt texted me. I was on the East Coast on vacation. Was like, hey man, would you be interested in talking to Travis? He's looking to take, what he did at Super and Ultra and take to the next level and kind of formalize something. And I said 100%. And he put us together, and then we met up in Half Moon Bay to kind of, just to kind of meet and just kind of rap. And it started from there.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah. What a journey.
It was a journey. And I guess it's like, I've always been like a networker. I've always been driven by a little, we're all kind of have a fear of the unknown of like where our lives are going, but I've also like wanted to give myself some optionality to take my career in different ways and not get too handcuffed either financially or, you get down a path that sometimes is a little hard to pivot. So I think what frankly scared me in terms of sometimes you're scared by not really knowing what the hell's going on or where your career's leading, or, the upside was, being able to, one day find the right opportunity, which this was the opportunity I think I've been looking for to try to help build something that I was really kind of passionate about, kind of an overused term, but something that meant something to me, but also having a bit of the business background to help make it happen. Right. And, the stuff I've been doing in the Olympics and with, the NBA, and then I spent some time at the Pac-12 conference and networks in the Bay Area, was able to apply those learnings, that network I'd built, to complement, Travis didn't need another dude from the core industry.
Right. No, right. Yeah. It's so fascinating for me because I bought Art of Flight and was like, it was easy to see like, oh my God, these guys have just changed what the base, like no one's, at the time I remember thinking, oh, well, everybody else is going to have to step up to this level. I didn't realize it was like, oh, everyone else is going to go away. Like it felt like, oh, we've just moved to this level now. Cause watching snowboard videos, it was like handy cam footage to like better footage. It just kept getting better. And then all of a sudden Travis and they're filming helicopters.
Well,
and it was awesome.
It was a film that extended from core to casual, and I'm not going to pretend to be like from the core snowboard industry. I'm just not,
Right.
and I'm not going to riff on like every snowboard film that was released because I wasn't that dude,
Right.
but I did love snowboarding, and I snowboarded. I was just more of just a regular fucking snowboarder,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, and that film, and I think that's it. That's all. And then you start going deeper, right, into community project, other, stuff, right? It was kind of a gateway to, to go down the wormhole a little bit, and
it was leading to this thing, but I don't think that they were intentionally, and this, they weren't intentionally trying to attract giant dollars. They were like trying to make an incredible film.
Yeah.
And like you say, leaving money on the table by not thinking like.
Well, I think they had grand visions. I mean, I think.
Did they? Yeah.
I'm guessing. I mean, Kurt, like they wanted to do something that was going to fucking blow people's minds, whether you're a snowboarder or not.
Yeah. And they did.
And they did.
Yeah.
They crushed it. And to this day, probably still the most watched like quote unquote action sports film of all time. It still stands the test of time.
It still stands the test. Like when it comes up in Red Bull TV and I'm like, oh, Art of Flight again, Yeah. Well, I'll watch it because it's insane.
Well,
it's
or we
amazing.
meet with, if we're meeting with brands who maybe aren't in the endemic space, and you're like, hey, do a little homework this weekend, by the way, like go watch Art of Flight first of all.
Check it out.
Go check it out. In addition to like all the rad shit that we're doing, just so you get a sense of kind of
where this is the foundation this is built on. Right. Yeah. I mean, I saw Art of Flight during that Beacon tour in Vancouver. It was at like the Theater of the Performing Arts, which was, we'd never had a snowboard premiere outside of, like a dingy theater on Granville or something. And this was like, it was the friggin' Prime Minister was there.
Yeah, that's
of
insane.
Canada. It was insane.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it was like this different thing, but I'm so fanboy. Like I'm like, what the hell? How did they do this?
Yeah.
But they needed to partner with someone like Laura, who gets the PR going properly.
Yeah, they did a great job. Just really
they crushed it,
stoking the hype, the anticipation,
and not just at Trans World Snowboarding,
right?
Like outside of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe it was fourth phase, but I think Laura had snagged like Vanity Fair magazine and things like that. Yeah, it's great.
Insane.
Yeah,
right. Which is, I mean, it's where that stuff should be. If people are watching the Olympics and they're seeing Olympic competition, getting those eyes on, a Travis project where he's curated this group of people that are the best in the world, but also, the most fun to ride with and like just the most committed to snowboarding.
Yeah.
So the natural progression back to natural selection, right? Like that, where he's going, hey, this event that I pulled off
Right.
a few times in different ways, it could really, obviously the bald face stuff, it was like, this should be going on every year forever.
Yeah. I mean, I was a fan. Yeah. You're a fan. You're like, I want to see more of this. And I think that was, when Kurt texted me, I was like, hell yeah. Like, I don't know at the end of the day, like what the total addressable market of audience is this thing, but like, I did feel like people need to get exposed more to this because you don't have to be a snowboarder. I mean, to appreciate or relate or enjoy the content.
Right.
I mean, it's Planet Earth meets a snowboard competition. I think that's where we've been where the format's been so successful. It's very relatable. Obviously,
people flying through the air.
Yeah.
Remember when we were kids and like freestyle skiing would come on, and like if you catch it out of the corner of your eye in an airport or something, there's just like this guy flipping around in the air. There's no frame of reference, and you're going, "What the hell is this?" That like caught my attention, and that was mass media at that time. But you can only watch it for a few minutes, and then you're sort of like, this is a bit boring and doesn't have anything to do with real life. Whereas natural selection clips, if you're a snowboarder, you wish for a day where you're going down a run and you see a thing and you can jump off it and it's soft in the bottom.
Yeah, and then I think the other part that we've been trying to lean into with all these sports is just the culture and the vibe. Because going back to things like The Art of Flight or any snowboard film, like, or surf film or whatever, it's just, we were watching it, but you're like, I wish I was there.
Exactly.
I wish I could be in the room, or, that's like, I want to be with those people, not, even for like a non-core person, right?
Totally.
Like, that looks like fun, I mean, that's what made me go from skiing to snowboarding. And then, wanting to get into this industry or be partners with Travis without knowing the vortex I was going to be sucked into.
Let's talk about that for a minute. We just saw him in the hallway. He is a force. The first time I met him was at the Depth Perception premiere, and I came away from that being like, this, to me, my opinion is, this is what happens if opportunity and preparation meets like passion. Like if he's a passionate kid growing up, like, I just want to go. And he's living in Jackson, which is like the most incredible place to go. Skiing, snowboarding, whatever, wherever he started. And then he's supported all the way through. He just, by the time of Depth Perception, I was like, this guy has transcended the snowboard industry somehow.
Yeah. I mean, and he's got a unique magnetism, right?
Likability.
People want, whether it's myself or other people, like people want to be a part of it. You can count on one hand, like the people that, have that ability, like in any field. Right. And I think
in any field.
I saw that, and I think for myself, like for me in my own life and career, like I've wanted to try to do something unique, and, it's, he has that unique kind of ability. There's all the stuff you see, but then, just that convening power.
That's what I saw. He didn't know me at all. And I was like, can you sit down on the mics? And he really just like put it all together like a puzzle in his brain. He's like, I'm going to announce for the second show, and we may have a window while it's playing to do a quick one of these. And I would like be like, where did you grow up? Like, tell me about your life. He's like, he was doing press for Depth Perception. You know what I mean? He just kept me on track, and he's like, bringing it back to Depth Perception. Sure. And I was so lucky to get to talk to him then. I mean, in the hallway today, I'm like, you got time? He's like, dude.
Yeah.
Things he's working on.
Yeah. And obviously now he's got a family.
And 2 kids
here. And
they're so cute.
Very empathetic to that. I mean, it's just a lot of juggling, and it's just crazy.
I've interviewed a lot of snowboarders. Only a few have PR guys. Mark, Travis, probably Zoe. Like, because their schedules are so busy, they're not just sitting around willy nilly.
No, for sure. Yeah.
And he's one of those.
sometimes you gotta be careful what you wish for, because when I met Travis, I'm like, let's go. Yeah. Reckless optimism, everything. But,
yeah. Is he hard to keep up with? Like, is he?
Travis is remarkably responsive, but yeah, hard. Yeah, for sure. So just, we had met in the summer of 2018, just kind of going back because we didn't just then launch Natural Selection. I started kind of moonlighting in the sense that I linked up with Liam and Cersei, who are already, kind of working with Travis to try to, formalize the Natural Selection Tour and get it launched. And I started joining them on conversations with Red Bull, who was interested in, being a part of it. We put together a little strat shred session at Baldface in December of 2018.
Wow.
Jeff was kind enough to, host, get us, have us cat, or whatever, let us go early season to Baldface. And, for me, I'm pinching myself.
Yeah, dude,
I can't believe I'm going to Baldface now.
Yeah.
With Travis and, Liam, Cersei, and we had some other folks like Chris Gerard. He joined us. Ben Kieran, who's now a good friend. We just kind of put together a little crew. Part of it was, hey, let's strategize. Meanwhile, maybe we'll, we knew we needed to raise some money. Maybe there'll be some folks there. And sure enough, we linked up with a guy named Brett Hershey, who became our first investor, who's actually here.
I met him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legend.
He's
SEAL
so
Team
proud
69.
of being that first investor, which is dope. Like, you want
Dude,
your guys
without
to
Brett,
be like
that. We basically, through Brett and another investor, we raised $500,000 via convertible note, which I knew nothing about, private equity or how to start a company, all that sort of thing. So I'm kind of learning on the fly.
Dope.
We we raised that initial $500,000 in August of 2019. So almost a full year since I first met Travis, and I quit my job, which was at the Pac-12 conference in the Bay Area, and we formalized things. We got it going. Yeah,
and then COVID hits 3 months later.
Well, basically, the first we wanted to. We were already in discussions with Jackson Hole Mountain Resort about hosting an event there, and we planned kind of a beta shoot on the Washakie Glade off the Teton Quad lift, which basically where the main selector course is now. We had built some features with Jackson Hole Mountain Resort and did this little test shoot with the drones and everything. None of it was live. We had a collection of riders there. Bernie Stock, who was kind of MVP of that session, a great crew. And that was I want to say early February of 2020, right? So we do this and it was epic, right? It was, the drone footage was insane. Hey, this is kind of the proof point that we can then go raise some more money around, get some sponsors. Hey, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be live this time. And then, and then COVID hits March, and it was man, shit. What are we going to do?
How are we going to keep this going?
How are we going to keep it going? And, there were, in COVID, there was still a lot of unknowns early in COVID, how long is this thing going to last? It was going to be temporary. I think we kind of all felt it was going to be over by the time we wanted to do the event in 2021, in February 2021. Yeah, so it was cool. This thing, we'll ride this thing out to the fall. That spring, I actually, Travis and I connected with a key figure in natural selection, Michael Schwab, who, was doing a lot of things, investing in kind of the surf community. He was partners with Kelly Slater on Surf Ranch and Kelly Slater Wave Co. And,
okay. Yeah.
We kind of just we're reading articles and seeing on Instagram that he was, doing a lot kind of in the outdoor industry. And he came on as a key investor,
Epic.
During COVID, which was just a reality of us to keep the lights on, and also to go to Jackson Hole Mountain Resort and be look, man, we're bringing in, we got the money, to pull this thing off. Cause there was doubt from them. They wanted to pull the plug. They were considering really pulling the plug, in the summer as things were kind of continuing with COVID, and, this is going to be really, really hard. But but they were kind enough to keep the conversation going. And ultimately, like, we did more summer work. I mean, we were outdoors, so we were able to make it work. And
Yep.
I think another kind of key moment was we hosted Matt Reinches and Bill Neff from Yeti to come out to Jackson.
Sick.
They were coming out to Jackson. They were Bill Neff, from the first conversation we had with him. He was like, hell yeah, like, this is the type of stuff that we want to support. So we'll figure it out.
Was that Yeti's first entry into snowboarding, or had they?
No, I think they were probably doing some other stuff.
Yeah, like contests and things, like supplying.
I think they were, no, and shout out to Mark Carter, because he introduced me to Bill Neff.
Yeah.
So I think they were already doing stuff with like Mark Carter.
Okay.
I think they had athletes probably, and they were probably doing some grassroots stuff. But Bill, he knew what Travis had done in the past, and he says, like, I know if Travis is putting his energy around something, it's gonna be authentic, and it's gonna be fucking rad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So without knowing what exactly and whether we were gonna be able to pull it off,
yeah,
they came on board. So a combination of like guys like Hershey and Schwab on the like investor capital front.
Yep.
And then someone like Yeti and Red Bull, and because Yeti knew, because they were like, where's this going to be seen? It's going to be on Red Bull. And Red Bull provides that kind of stamp of approval, right?
Yeah.
So they knew the eyeballs were going to be there.
Yeah.
And, it didn't solve all our problems. We still had to like cobble the, like, pound the pavement and bring in other brand partners, and
of course.
But
yeah, that was where I heard of Yeti. I hadn't heard of it. And I was like, what is Yeti? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, this is sick. This stuff is good. I've got Yeti tumblers for the whole family now.
Yeah, everyone's kind of taking pages, including ourselves, out of what Yeti's done on a brand building, they're community building.
They're
front,
everywhere,
right?
and and it's good quality, and people love it.
And they're in the right places. Like, and credit to Bill and his whole team, Joe Keeley, Jesse Markowitz, who's here right now. Like, they support. At a grassroots. I mean, sure, we're a high profile thing that we're doing, and they're supporting other high profile stuff, but they invest in the grassroots where it really makes an impact that maybe millions of the broader public doesn't see,
right?
But the local community sees.
That's why they're so rad. Yeah, because they're going up against an oligarch, right? Like Coleman and stuff, like stuff that's like been in the lexicon forever. You're going to go get a cooler. You're just going to get a cooler, right? And now,
and I mean,
you're going to get
the founders. They saw a void. I mean, those guys are fishermen and hunters, right? And they just the current products weren't cutting it for what they needed. So they went out and invented a product.
So
and similar
cool.
for Travis. I mean, the void he saw is like, Travis is a competitor. That dude's competitive. As people who know him know, like, we've had some epic ping pong sessions that start fun, but like, so I think for him as a competitor, it's like, there's not a competition that fully satisfies what I'd want to
right,
be.
because
he done some free ride world tour stuff.
Yeah, he went and won the free ride.
I
remember thinking, if Travis Rice or any of our top guys go to these free ride world tours, I didn't have any idea the commitment that it takes to like go and do a tour. It's like
that's the challenge, right? And that's the challenge with things like the WSL, right? You've got folks like Travis or other riders who, at the end of the day, they want to be out filming the backcountry.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're going on tour, like, it's just cannibalizing.
It's your whole year, right?
And that's what happens, and that's where you see, Nathan Florence out doing what he's doing versus what John has done. I know he's not, he's off the tour this year, but
it's a different deal, right? Like, for my reference, it's
there's
like
opportunity cost, right? There's only so much you can do, right?
Mm-hmm. And it kind of holds you in a certain place. I think that's what Sterling Silver was alluding to. Like a competition snowboarder like Jimmy Scott back in the early days, he could win the world title as the best half pipe rider in the world. But the photos in the magazine were like I'm not certain that's the best guy. You know what I mean? He's the best competitor in the world for
Right.
sure.
Right.
And he's doing technical stuff. Even Craig Kelly was like, he would play that game to win the world title. But where he really wanted to be was out here in the mountains.
Yeah, and I think with like FreeRide World Tour, like Hakuba was like an epic, like that was an epic venue, and I think that's probably there's a big part of the reason why Travis did that particular event. Maybe he was filming. I think he was probably in Japan at the time.
Yeah,
filming, and we've always from day one wanted to do natural selection tour stuff in Japan. But yeah, I mean, they're a lot of their venues are more around the alpinism and the mountaineering.
Exactly.
And
And when I talked to Bertie about the FreeRide World Tour, his vision for it was ski clubs, right? Like feeder clubs for the kids to like go into small FreeRide World Tour affiliate contests as kids and build their way
they built
up.
the pipeline with IFSA and they've.
Which is rad.
That's like the governing body. Like,
exactly.
And we would say like,
you mentioned it before, right? The governing
we have
body.
like all the respect for like what they're doing. And even like, let's say on the surf side with, when people criticize WSL, we're like, well, we know like how fucking hard it is what they're doing. So like, we're like, I don't know, man, what they're doing is pretty fucking rad. Like, not to say there isn't other stuff you can't do to complement it, which is what we did last year with going to a location in Micronesia that like the feasibility of the WSL, like you're not going to go there, but had this incredible wave that the pros all know about that, man, if you had a competition on that wave, like it'd be epic.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Is that it is, if your focus is on longevity and clubs and you've got to train judges and you've got to train like coaches and all the things.
It's gnarly.
It's big. It's a big thing.
It's a difficult,
it's a
it's a difficult business model. I think, and we kind of quickly saw early on as we, launched in 2021 that we did the Valhalla event, Canadians only, and then went up to AK.
Right.
We kind of quickly saw that, man, this is really hard. And from a business model standpoint, like if we're just trying to scale events in snowboarding and build out like 5 events out of the year or whatever, like it's going to be really hard to make financial sense out of it from a business model standpoint.
And from the riders, I remember riders saying like, wow, natural selection is like 5 days out of the year. And
it seemed like
if it was 5 times 5, it's their whole year.
Doing 3 events was really hard.
Yeah.
And even Robin Van Gyn that year, I remember she's like, maybe I should just do 1, which, in hindsight, it's like, yeah, you're probably right, Robin, like just do 1, but I think the opportunity we saw kind of early on though was, that we didn't have to build like this crazy, 5-stop tour or we didn't have to be like a governing body of sorts. And we were building like a really cool brand and community and and for me, kind of coming from the Olympic and NBA world, which like those are very powerful brands. Like the Olympics, like those sponsorship contracts are the most basic sponsorship contracts on the planet, because when you come on board as a sponsor of the Olympic Games, you're basically just getting the right to access the rings and the intellectual property. You're buying intellectual property.
Yeah.
You're getting access to call yourself an official partner and to use the rings. Then you're having to spend 2x that on buying commercial inventory from NBC or whatever region.
Totally.
Spending money on hospitality, spending money on like all the activation. Like all you're buying from the IOC or the Olympic or the organizing committee is the right to say that you're a sponsor and to use the logo, whether it's the Olympic rings, which only the global sponsors can use the rings on their own. Yeah. The domestic sponsors, so like in Beijing, they get use of the marks for that specific Olympic Games, right? So it's so long way of saying like the fact that they can command hundreds of millions of dollars for the affiliation of that, like in our own small way, it's like, well, we can build a rad brand around natural selection. Not the events are kind of the tent pole of this brand that we're building, but like, can we start to grow adjacent revenue streams, which that's kind of like what we're trying to explore today. Like build a sustainable business model because we're not profitable. Like there's no secrets like that I need to hold back on that. Like we are still building a platform.
You're spending money to create this thing that,
we're investing
time, effort,
we've been raising
money,
capital like from the ongoing thing, which is all good because we feel like we're building something that's very authentic and meaningful. We're not trying to like conquer the world or anything. It's like, can we build something that is cool that gives people more and more opportunities to like touch and feel this community, this rad culture and community that is in all of these sports.
That's how Revelstoke is like extra special, that people like can come up and go to the venue now. Like
you can go to the venue,
what a move. Yeah,
which is
awesome.
epic. I mean, at Jackson Hole, there were no like, there were parts on the mountain that you could see like snippets of the event, but it was so multi-planar and everything, and there wasn't like a good viewing area. And meanwhile, here at Montana Bowl, like you can see like 80% of what goes down, and then we have the live screen out there, so it's like an epic viewing experience. And then meanwhile, like if like you're out there listening and you're a fan of snowboarding, like you come for the week and like everyone is hanging out, like all your favorite riders and like
insane,
and it's super chill and fun, and and then even like our all the endemic brands and all those people, like if you're a young person and you want to like get in the industry, like dude, come you come here, come network, come meet all these people, like
everybody is here.
So and I feel like we're still kind of scratching the surface. Like
I feel like that too. I mean, you guys have tried a bunch of things. Like there was the NFT thing. There's like, I saw the signed posters going down, like, and how much logistics is around getting every single rider to sign these posters, which are going to be sent all over the world, which is super sick.
Yeah. Travis has always been, he's an art, he's a creative kind of guy, and the poster stuff's always been a big thing. I imagine for, I bought the Art of Flight poster, right? I mentioned that poster that got signed, which is now framed and sitting in my 9-year-old son's bedroom.
Oh, that's sick.
Which I had to wait for the right moment to be like, hey, Travis, check it out. So actually, like, you don't remember, but like I was fanboying out, during Art of Flight with all the riders and, and everything. But it was cool. Like that's really rad. What it comes down,
I'm glad to hear that story because, like, CEO of Natural Selection, I'm thinking came from like you were saying, like the money backing side of stuff. But you've got heart in the
100%. Like I'm just like I was a regular fan. Once again, like was not like the core fan, like, which is cool. Like, sure, I can be insecure about it when I'm around this community and everyone's like so hardcore.
Dude, I've been snowboarding my whole life and I'm insecure about it. Like, I think I'm looking around. I think half the people here are insecure about it. It's just the way it is. These guys are our celebrities. Right. Yeah. And you're rubbing shoulders with.
Well, you can imagine like the fun thing. One of my best memories of year one with, Jackson Hole, we executed. And that was like, it was mind blowing, right? When that thing went live and like, holy shit, can't believe we figured this out. Can't believe like we're live streaming from drones. Like,
that's unbelievable.
Like, and credit to Liam Griffin and the group at Uncle Toad's Media Group who like figured out the tech solve, make it happen. Because like we were out like pitching the vision, but we didn't have the tech solve yet.
Right.
And until it like went live, we were like, holy shit, that happened. But I remember like the week before the event, like I was out in the mountain and, helping kind of like shovel and do some prep. I'm like, I can't believe I'm like shovel, and Travis is out there and the other guys were out there. I'm like, I'm like, I can't believe like, and I think back to like watching That's It, That's All or like Art of Flight. And now you're kind of like in it,
you're living inside the production.
And I'm not like, I mean, look, it's Liam and Rick Ross and the crew that are prepping the venue. They're up there right now prepping the venue. Like, I'm not the dude doing it, but like they've got the right dudes doing it. Of course I want to be a part of that. Like who doesn't want to be, at least like putting in the muscle, a little bit, even
when
though
Ben Bullock came up, like that was the first thing I asked him when he came back to Squamish. I'm like, dude, what was it like? What was it like?
But I know my role. My role's, it's like on the business side, it's like the partners and, bringing in the investors and doing that part, which in my own little, in my world, it's a kind of an equally heavy lift. Yeah.
Do you guys have like crazy amounts of mountain safety? I mean, I know you're working very closely with Ski Patrol.
Yeah, I mean, we got to work with we work with Ski Patrol here, right? They're the experts, and they're making the ultimate call. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, and buts. And if we're going to Alaska, like, I mean, same thing, right?
Or
people like working with like Buff and Jeff Pensiero, like when we were in Valhalla or at Baldface, right? So
making sure that athletes are safe and snow conditions. Yeah, because I saw it in the perceived it in the 90s, 2000s, like jumps started getting so big, it kind of felt detached from like a rider going like, hey, build me this jump. It was sort of like a rider wakes up in the morning, goes up to the venue and sees the jump for the first time and goes, you want me to jump off of that? Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, I think you got to call someone else. You know what I mean? Like, hold on, I know someone will hit this. Like, there's 3 people in the world that are going to hit a 200-foot jump. Come on. Right. But so you guys have, it's so exciting to see the summer builds and then what it turns out into in the winter.
Yeah. I mean, it's super cool. And that was, a fun thing to be a part of at Jackson Hole and going up there in the summer. And I mean, I'm not the dude building this shit, so I don't want to pretend there, but it was just, it's just kind of cool to just, I think a cool part about all this is like, we've got like a tangible product, you see like what goes into it and like building the features and all that stuff. And then when you actually execute, and now you've got these shows that, will be around forever. And I think there's, I think our partners, part of the magic, I guess, or the value of what we're doing is like people go rewatch these events. Oh, yeah. Like that Alaska event in 2021, up in the Tortorillos, I think it had like, when we launched it with Red Bull, and it went both on Red Bull TV, but then also on their YouTube, Red Bull Snow's YouTube. And, probably had like 250,000 views by, let's say, the end of May or June, right? And then you kind of go in the summer and not as many people watching it. And then the next year, it like added 1 million views.
Isn't that
And then the next year it added another 1 million views. And if you go there right now, I mean, we can look it up. It's definitely at 4 million views on that show.
Unreal.
Which is epic,
It's unreal.
It's not unheard of to like walk into like a ski lodge or whatever somewhere and see an old natural selection event that's just kind of like playing on in the
always
background.
Playing everywhere, right?
And it goes to what Travis was, and Liam and Cersei, were trying to achieve. There's basically 4 co-founders, right? Cersei, who's obviously legend, right? Who's been, she was, you go back to 2008 with Quicksilver Natural Selection, so it's like, how do we want the competition? Yeah, it's like, it's a video, it's a film that meets a competition, right? And for Travis's mind, the ultimate compliment is if a rider wants to use a competition run in like their, as a film segment,
totally,
right? Which like Mikkel's done before, and like that's the ultimate compliment of what So and we're like, please use
That's the challenge of the format too. Is that like for people that have been watching video parts forever and ever and ever, like we're kind of like so used to seeing like so many amazing tricks in a row,
right? That
live action snowboarding. It's like 90% of that stuff is going to get cut out in a video part.
Right.
But now that I'm acclimatized to it, like I love the whole thing. Like you're watching for flow, like, hey, they're going fast.
Right.
They're going to score good.
You watch like, like McMorris's run, Nils. I mean, those runs were insane day one, just from like a flow, like linking crazy, tricks that, and just like,
I mean, that 2021 Trujillo showdown, that's the one that Travis won at the end, isn't it right?
So that was Mikkel won that.
Mikkel won that one.
Because that year, Travis had his first kid. Jupiter.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Brooke did. Yeah.
Yeah. Brooke
so,
did,
and then Robin and Mikkel won, and we were able to hand the keys to a Bronco, which, behind the scenes, like I remember we're like trying to pitch auto brands, and like it was January. Our Jackson Hole event was going to like take place end of January, beginning of February. And, I've been pitching Bronco to be the official truck. Like we basically felt like the deal was going to happen. We were dealing with our agency. So we went out and we bought Broncos they were just kind of coming out, like, because they reinvigorated the brand.
Yeah.
I went to like the local dealership, bought a Bronco Sport or whatever. Like,
no way.
And then we had it wrapped with, all of our natural selection branding. Shout out Toby Grubb, who basically like created the natural selection brand identity.
Dope.
And like all, the logo, the font, the look and feel, all that shit.
Yeah.
So we had it wrapped like, I think the deal's going to happen. Like threw it on the old fucking Amex, and we started like getting, shooting photos with it and all that stuff. And then, fast forward, like, the deal happened. We had it around, all this shit's happened on the fly. Like it's so crazy. But, and then we're like handed the keys to the Bronco on the glacier. And then like when we kind of helied out or actually got back to Anchorage, we had a couple Broncos like sitting there and like filmed some cheesy shit, like Robin and Mikkel like driving around.
Yeah.
It's like, it's it's like whatever. It's fun now to kind of, and there's like 100 of stories of that, like trying to just,
of course,
trying
that's
to get
your job.
Trying to get the brands on board and, trying to, like, all the endemics want to get on board, but they don't, they don't have the budgets that,
it's expensive.
Not,
like this,
like they're doing their thing, right? They're trying to grind it out. They want to be supportive and, but the reality is from a business model standpoint is, if you look at the Olympics or the NBA and this were, there's categories like whether it's credit card or financial institution, banks,
right,
automobiles,
right,
insurance. Like there's always like massive categories that are spending big money in sports, and those are and we want the right brand partners, right?
Right.
They're the ones that have the larger budgets and also can help market this thing to a non-endemic audience,
totally.
Right?
Yeah, my first interview this year, one of my first interviews was Ben Bullock, and I was like, shit. Sports betting, you think it's that because it's coming in as this major, they're above automobile now with how much money they're spending on advertising. I'm like, damn, do you think there's going to be sports betting on natural selection? They don't go together. Like I don't
people
think they
want
go
it for
together.
sure. And
Ben was like,
you've
yeah,
had the dudes who started the bracket challenge. They kind of went and did their own thing.
Yep.
Those dudes are here. Great guys.
Yep.
Actually, the founder of DraftKings is a small investor. I hope he doesn't mind me saying in natural selection. But Jason Robbins, who's a guy I got to know when I worked at the NBA, he was starting DraftKings, and one of my very close friends was an initial investor in DraftKings. So he's like, "Hey, will you meet with this guy, Jason Robbins? Like, have coffee with him because nobody at the NBA will meet with him." And then I wasn't a gambler or anything, or like I didn't do fantasy games or anything, but I started playing around with DraftKings. I was like, "Man, this thing is legit," because it gets you like invested in, even if you're putting $1 in.
It changes your relationship to the thing.
Yeah, it makes it more fun.
Of
course, you don't want to get over your skis when you're like, I need to double down now or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
because in the end, it is gambling. That's the thing about it, is that, in the end, it's gambling.
So we actually in year 2 at Jackson Hole, DraftKings came on as a little as a sponsor, and actually we had a free game. We couldn't. Part of the challenge is you got to get sanctioned. You got to go through all that shit.
Now,
so we had like a little free game. You could like enter in the pool and stuff, and it was cool. And ultimately, like we'd love. I mean, be epic. But it's a challenge, right? Because we're not releasing the bracket like we do the
exactly.
We run the selector, and then we've always been playing around with the format and all that stuff. So I mean, it's hard, right? You need to kind of get out ahead of things, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think there's a lot of fun stuff. Like, who wouldn't want to see like, I don't know, like you take like duels, right? And I don't know, there's probably some pretty good little rivalries out there. You throw, let's have a little duel out there and like live stream it with the Starlink, and and then let's all bet on it.
People with money on it. Unreal. Yeah. I talked to Dustin Craven a couple years back about, I was like, how come they're not listing your sponsors? And at that time, I guess it was just like, sponsors could buy into that rider profile thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if that's still where you're at or.
Yeah, we created I think you're alluding to like the Industry Alliance that we created.
Is that what
maybe.
it's called, Industry Alliance?
Yeah, so that was kind of born out of, we had, for the first 3 years, backcountry.com was like they were like our official online, like e-commerce kind of partner where we were selling our merch and stuff. But then they were also our outerwear partner because they were creating outerwear, right? And I think the good news was like, since Backcountry sold all these other brands, we're like, okay, well, we want these, like, just because you're our exclusive outerwear partner, we still want to be able to work with outerwear brands, like whoever they might be. And we want them to be able to like use the content to support their team riders when it comes to social and really help market this thing. And it worked out because Backcountry was like, that's cool. Like, because we're partners with all those brands. We're selling their shit. So like, we want that too. And we didn't really want to just give away our content that we're spending millions of dollars on and not to like gouge people. So we created this Industry Alliance, and it was like smaller investment level. Just, if you've got team riders, here's a flat rate per rider, and then we capped it. So if like your union binding, like 8 riders or whatever, it was like, we kind of capped it at a certain amount. And I'd like to think we've kept it digestible for people, knowing that like every 5K, like people, there's no extra money to burn,
right.
But I think it's worth it, like in the sense that like we're providing content that like you'd have to probably spend a lot more money out there anyway to like.
Yeah. Well, then you've got brands that are just never going to be able to afford that kind of stuff. Like
totally.
Was Bryn riding dope this year?
I don't know.
It's last year. Yeah. Right. But it's like, hometown brands that get in here. It's
like Giggy with like Slash,
totally,
or things like that. And that's just we've been kind of inventing things along the way. I don't think it was like, what should we call it? We'll call it the Industry Alliance, and like, but I think and the whole vibe of it is like, we are trying to create kind of a community project here out of these things, but from a business model standpoint, we also recognized pretty early on, or I did, like, hey, I'm using every net like contact I have from like my NBA buddies and Olympic buddies to get in front of like the visas and these larger non-endemics. And like, the reality is like, if we're just snowboarding from a business model standpoint, like we're not moving the needle enough for them.
It's we're really tiny. Yeah.
It's going to be seen as niche. And
we're niche. Yeah.
So as we started to, from a just organically, like we started Travis having relationships with athletes in other sports. Michael Schwab, actually, our investor, introduced us to Todd Barber, who is now head of our mountain biking and has been the, comp director for Rampage for 20 years and that sort of thing. Like we just started having conversations in other verticals because of athletes, and people are like, hey, like we'd love to do in mountain biking or, obviously freeride skiing, like what you're doing in snowboarding. And so, like from a just how do we scale natural selection from, the brand, like we saw a pathway. And then for me on the business side, it's like, okay, if we can bring leverage all these kind of communities, and a lot of them which overlap, we can start going to bigger brands and saying, look, like we can check a big fucking box in the outdoor industry. Yeah. As we, as we're leveraging these proof, today we have GMC as our official truck, which is epic, and they're amazing. And we're activating around all 4 verticals: surf, bike,
that makes sense.
Ski, and snowboard.
That came out of nowhere for me. Like I had no idea. Like the first conversation was they're gonna let skiers in, and I was like, no, I don't want the snowboard ski thing. Like I don't want to see it. Yeah,
no, there's definitely. I think we knew we couldn't like go to ski as the first sport. Mountain bike made more sense.
Yeah, mountain bike's not
and
isn't that funny? Mountain bike didn't even reach my thing. It wasn't until it was ski that people were like, what do you think about skiing in the natural selection tour? And then when I looked into it, and the surfing thing really caught my attention. I was like, oh,
Well,
this is dope, man.
Yeah, and the surfing
I
thing,
get
and
it.
Travis was really sensitive about that. And I think we all were, but Travis especially, because he's friends with a lot of surfers and everything. And you don't just like prance into surfing.
No,
you know what I
surfing
mean?
is
Like,
the OG.
yeah, any of these sports. But yeah, I mean, and so we actually put together these athlete advisory councils in each of the sports, like rallied, 3, 4, 5 athletes in each one.
Yeah.
Formalize this council. We've granted options, like, so you're technically, you got some ownership stake, in
Sick.
natural selection. And frankly, the more you do over the time, the more we want you to be an owner, and it's not game changing type stuff. So I don't want to paint it as that, but at least be like, hey man, like we're all aligned here, and look, it was important for us from not only a public perception standpoint, but like if like all these sports are nuanced, right? We're not going to pretend to know even what skiers want. So it's like, it's
Right.
like, actually we hit up Candide Tove on the skiing side. He came on board as like he's the guy,
He
right?
is the
And
guy, dude.
That guys like Marcus Ader, like we want the athletes at the end of the day. That's what's in our so special about the DNA of the natural selection. The brand that we're building is that it's got to be truly athlete kind of driven.
Yeah, top tier athlete, like the real deal.
Yeah, so it's authentic, and it's putting out a product there that the athletes are proud of, and that is going to translate to the fans. At the
Yeah,
end.
you don't have to worry about the fans, because as long as we like it, as long as the people who are competing love it,
Yeah, exactly.
that's really all the proof that you need.
Yeah.
You don't have to go do a focus group, right?
And now kind of I think the fun begins. Like, I mean, the stuff that we're playing around with is like, okay, well, like we do these events. Not everyone can come to the events. Like, how do we bring natural selection to the communities where we know our fans live? So we're playing around with some ideas of kind of our own version of what like a Warren Miller or TGR does with like the
Sick.
fall kind of film tours. Like, we're not going to
That's
just throw on a feature film, but we've got tons of content. We got athletes who want to be there. There's musicians who love what we're doing. Like there's all these like cultural elements around it. Like, how do we bring the NST experience to life? Like, let's say in more of a theater style, or maybe it's a multi-day festival vibe, and like a rad place like Reno, where it's like a gateway to the outdoors. Like,
Totally.
how do we, because people just want to get together, right? And celebrate.
You know what? That's it. We've lost trade shows, and we've lost all kinds of events over the years. We've lost magazines, we've lost videos, we've lost a lot of stuff, and what we have is streaming, right? Like, so like a partnership with like a Netflix or like a Amazon Prime or something like that, where it's a series or television series.
That's a great.
But it's
point.
already Red Bull, so Red Bull has their own Red Bull TV, which is
they're the distribution. But I think what you're hitting on, which is key for us too, is like there's only so many people who are going to watch the long form events.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, like the surf event, we compress that thing as much as possible. Still 2 shows, 3 hours each.
Exactly.
And we cut out all the sitting around in the waves, right?
You have to,
but it's still long, right?
Right.
And the challenge we have now, and everyone points to like Formula One and what they did with Drive to Survive, which did the storytelling, which drew in a broader audience.
That's it.
How can we package content in a way that is more episodic and that leans into more the storytelling and the personalities and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily have the answer, but we're playing around with some concepts, starting with surf around like, how do we take a competition and weave in the storytelling and then package it in an episodic way that would still respect the core, and the core is still going to, enjoy it, right, and respect it, and you're not sacrificing that, but package in a way that extends to a broader, more casual fan who may not be a surfer, but is interested in, you look at 100-foot wave, like that show's fucking awesome. And people are watching it who aren't surfers because they love the stories, or, free solo, like obviously like the compelling nature of that with Alex's relationship with his, with his wife, and all that behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah.
But we know it needs to be something probably more than just like, all right, we're in Travis's kitchen now, and now we're going to go.
Well, the shin thing, I said it right away. Like, man, the live coverage this year started with the story of the guide in Japan, and I loved it.
Yeah.
It wasn't over the top, and it wasn't an advertisement. It was like story building.
You're talking about like Ikigai, like what they did with Shin Miyajima, like yeah.
And just that's where it opened up. It's like here's how it was for us in Japan.
Yeah.
I'm with this guy, and there's like some circumstance around us meeting.
Yeah.
You know, he does a giant cliff. It's like, cool, these are the people that are involved.
Yeah.
And then just you have so many elements. Like the watchability is really
you're in
high.
these cool places. The culture's cool. Like the people are interesting, and it's like, but you kind of need to create a narrative. Like there needs to be like what's the storyline here, so it's not just like straight up aimless documentary stuff.
Right.
But
right.
And then it's tricky. It's like, all right, what's the best concept? Like, then we got to go pitch it, and it's like it's not that easy to do a deal with Netflix, right?
Oh
like,
God,
it's just
impossible.
No one's just going to throw money at you or whatever.
No.
And then I think the way these streamers are working a lot now, it's like, okay, well, like we'll give you the platform, but you're going to have brand partners kind of get involved.
Oh, wow.
And kind of pay for even the episodic
on
stuff
their own. So it's
so then you're kind of like, all right,
Huh.
It starts with an idea, and then it's like you need the brand partners to get involved to, ultimately like green light something, or you need and then you need the distribution actually, because the brand partners want to know like, well, where is it going to be distributed? And like, well, it's like a chicken or the egg kind of thing, which is tricky right now,
So that's your job in a nutshell, is knowing how to partner people, raise money, teach people how to buy advertising and get the most out of it. It's like, this is something I'd never even thought of before.
Dude, yeah, it's hard. It's complicated. And I think for us, like the theme, I think we're now in year 6, is part of it is just like growing this thing responsibly, putting one foot in front of the other, overcoming adversity, putting the right pieces in place, like trying not to send it too hard from a financial risk standpoint. Because like we've gone into every year like, okay, this is our game plan. And then it's kind of like, hey, Carter, go find the money to pay for it. We don't, we've never had like quote unquote runway of like, we've raised $10 million.
Yeah.
And now we think this is going to last us 3 years. It's never, we've never had that luxury. It's like, here's our game plan. Here's like how much, it's like, here's the sponsors we have locked in for now. Here's the like baseline revenue that we think we have. And then here's the additional revenue we're going to have to generate to pay for the events. Or if not generate the revenue, here's the amount of capital and that we're going to have to raise from an equity standpoint. And the more equity you're raising, like you're diluting yourself. So like
exactly,
Travis, myself, like y'all become like less ownership in natural selection.
Totally.
So it's a balance, But I think at the end of the day, like we're doing it. I think we're all doing it for the right reasons.
Everybody's up on hill yesterday trying to get Stoked chair. Like we're
trying to build something that's impactful. I know for myself, like I think it's not about like an ultimate like exit payday. Of course, we're trying to build something valuable. Like I want our investors to feel great about, like they're along for the journey. They're getting utility out of it. Our investors they're individuals at this stage. We have not raised traditional like institutional private equity, like versus like the Snow League. They went out and they've raised from venture capitalists, like, and kudos to them. Like I wish we had venture capitalists beating down our door to invest, but it's passionate individuals like Brett Hershey, Michael Schwab, like these guys who they want to be a part of the journey, but no one, they want a return on investment eventually. Like, right. It's not charity. We're not, it's not a charitable exercise here. We're building a business, and it's hard. There's no like blueprint to really look at.
Yeah.
Right?
And you guys have over delivered, I think, on the product side of things, like you're saying, like you're actually pushing technology, right? Like Liam's up there with the satellite guys. This is the edge of what they can do for live streaming. We're in the middle of nowhere up there.
No, 100%. And I think that's, like we're a small team, but we're getting, the good thing is like people want to be a part of this, and like we're kind of getting best in class in every
hell yeah.
element, whether it's like, you know, our head of partnerships, Connor McEllier, like this dude is like a G, right? He's finally like, I've got someone that's like, you know, he's out there selling and managing parts. So I've got someone kind of full time, or like Tiffany Cook on the brand side, and you know, the 1,000 hats that she's wearing, Laura Bodmer on the PR side, you know. So like we're kind of putting all these kind of pieces in place. Nicola Deschamps, who you know, have you met Nicola?
I haven't met Nicola.
She's like the heart and soul, the glue of natural selection.
Oh,
and,
sick.
I mean, she's behind the scenes, like doing the dirty work of like, when we're like, all right, like, how do we make payroll next week? Like, or like,
wow.
how are we going to do that? You know, and
Totally.
like, so she's doing business op stuff,
Yep.
but she's also like put on a producer hat last year and was like producing duels with Liam. And then,
wow.
I mean, yeah. So I don't know, you know, and yeah, the other people that we brought in the fold, Jason Murray, who's here, who like, you know, brought in like big partnership deals. Like we actually got introduced to Jason through Toby Grubb. Jason has like a surfing background, but initially he was kind of working like on commission to help bring in some brand partners.
Oh, rad.
And rolled up the sleeves and actually got it done, brought in some key partners like Onyx. This was the other year. But then with his surfing background, we were like wanting to launch in surf. He spearheaded the event we did in Micronesia.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy too, really approachable, just
super passionate.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and leveraging his experience. Like everyone's kind of like has the passion, but they're bringing something to the table. And yeah, it's like, it's a beautiful thing. It's not easy. Like everyone's making these like crazy personal sacrifices.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
To make it happen. But yeah, but I feel like
you guys
we're getting to, you know, we can see, I wouldn't say we see the light at the end of the tunnel, but like we're seeing some things kind of starting to fall into place and to give us a chance, you know, and that's all we want, you know, and you know, and we want to grow, we want to do it responsibly, you know, and there's a lot of things we need to continue to improve on. And, you know, we know that like, I mean, you know, the field sizes, like, even though we have equal prize purse, it's not gender equity from a, you know, playing field. Like we have 16 men and 8 women here. And that's a problem. And we way over index on male viewership versus female viewership. But like to get more female viewers, we need more female riders. But you know, and what Robin did with R&D, well, there also needs to be more of a pipeline. There need to be more just events in general, I think,
Totally.
for, you know, for
feeder events.
feeder events,
Yeah.
for women free riders.
But then
they need more budgets to go out and film in the backcountry so that they can own their craft and all that stuff. So part of it is like, okay, like, you know, strategically, like how can we be a part of the solution to some of the things that need to happen
without taking it on as a, like we're building, you know, feeder events and running like it's
but
like,
then where I put my business hat on, I was like, okay, there's a lot of brands that are investing, let's take women's sports, like into women's sports, like traditional sports, like basketball and soccer.
Yep.
Any brands are listening, there's no one owning the women's space in these sports. And like what I want is a MasterCard who is dedicated to women's sports to say, you know what, like we see the problem here and we want to be a part of the solution. And then it's not just the tip of the spear events that we're doing, but like it's, creating the feeder events, or like, let's take $100,000 and split it up into 20K chunks and apply it to like, film projects that the ladies are, the women are doing out there.
Totally.
Right. Because getting funding to do film projects to show the world, you know, went to Wayward the other night, right?
Oh, that was epic.
It was epic. Yeah. And you see part of the problem is you know, it's very complicated. And like the women need funding to go out there to like stack clips and then distribute it and show, you know, and get more visibility into themselves, like building their own personal brands or to show how rad the snowboarding is. So like, and I'm the one, at least where my head's at is like, yeah, how do we get a MasterCard or whoever, right, to like come on board as a very meaningful financial partner, but then also like, dude, it's a great story for you, MasterCard. Like, look what you're doing to support, this in the outdoor, whether it's snowboarding.
I've been in that conversation for so long because I remember when the magazines brought in non-endemic brands, right? Like Ford or whatever. It's like, what? You're gonna have a truck company in here? Okay, I'm not reading this magazine anymore.
Well, that's a tricky thing too, right? Like if if there's X brand who's like, hey, we want to access this amazing community, but if they're not the right brand, but they got the money, like where do you draw the line?
I know, but
right?
that's the thing, is that this is an expensive sport, and that's been the conversation all the way since forever.
Yeah.
My friends would say, anyone who is buying advertisement in a snowboard magazine is putting money into the snowboard industry.
I mean, that's the way I look at it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you don't want to cross the line in certain respects, but I think, and that's, going back to my Olympic days, I think the Olympics does do a good job in the sense that, hey, these are the brands that are like making the Olympic Games happen and bring it to life. And, for brands out there, I think with natural selection, like I think the community would appreciate and support these brands, knowing that like, hey, they're helping us do more rad shit. Like that's kind of a good thing,
Yeah.
and hopefully,
Absolutely.
and support them. And, and I think like a Yeti, going back to Yeti, like I know like I get a little, I mean, the brand stands for something and there's dopamine hits, I don't know, like they've done a great job, I think, in that respect of like doing it the right way. And you support Yeti, you like their products because you also know that they're, investing in the community.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. I mean, and the problem usually is when those non-endemic brands come in with kooky ideas or whatever, like, okay, we're going to ride Yetis down the course for fun or whatever. You're like, no, that's not what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you want to, and I think, our brand partners are leaning in more, like we work with them very closely in terms of how they kind of come to life. And, and so I think, I think we position them and their involvement in a very authentic way. Like that's our goal. That's, I know, Connor McEllia's goal, and like, and like that's our Terek's goal. Like when they're up there, and I mean, look, it's like our crew that's battling the elements or like making the conditions safe, et cetera, et cetera. Like, so like the it's very organic in terms of bringing that partnership to life. And that's kind of the goal, but it's not always easy.
You guys have nailed it. You've nailed it. I like I said, I watched literally no other competitions. X Games. No, I'm not. I'm not invested in competitive snowboarding like that. Well, and once a year or a couple times a year, depending on the events, I'm fully engaged. And coming up here has blown my mind.
Awesome, man. Well,
blown my mind.
It means a lot. There's a bellhop here at the Sutton place who's like, might be full of shit, but he's Australian. Angus, shout out to Angus. He's like, I moved to Revelstoke because of natural selection.
Sick. And
it's like, yeah, dude, like that's it at the, that means a lot. It means we're on the right track. And by no means do we have this thing solved. We've got a long way to build a sustainable business. Like, dude, we're just like, we're in like maybe the second inning of this thing.
Sure.
But I think we're trying to, once again, like we want to grow, we want to do it the right way at the end of the day. It's a long, like, this is like a 50-year play, I mean, so to be continued.
Sick, dude. Thanks very much, homie.
Yeah, bro. I appreciate it.
Thanks for doing the show. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you. It's fun to talk about. So,
FNRad shout-outs this week to Carter Westfall. Thanks for doing the show. Our Kind of Chaos, the whiskey documentary, is having a Vancouver premiere Friday, April 10th at the Vogue Theater. Doors are at 7, and the film is at 8 p.m., followed by a Q&A with some of the guys. Don't sleep. There's no second screening. We'll see you there. And be sure to come back next week for more FNRadness presented by Flojoy Water and brought to you by FNRad Productions.